Today we're going to take a look at the new varieties of proven winter annuals for 2026. Hi, I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and these new annual varieties, they were out in the greenhouse growing, so we were doing our greenhouse trials for probably about a month and a half or so. They did well in the greenhouse, and now we are taking them out into the landscape here at Garden Crossings so that we can now watch and see how they perform throughout the summer. These have been in here about 3 weeks, and so far they are really doing fantastic. So how did we prep them before we brought them out into the gardens here? So when we did the greenhouse trials, we plant them from a small little plug, which is what we get most of our plants in as. We planted them into a 4.5-inch size pot, and we grew them for, like I said, about 1.5 or 2 months or so, just to see like how do they perform in the greenhouse. Is there any special lighting that they need? Do they need different water than other plants? Just what's different about the greenhouse growing aspect of these plants? So that's the first trial that we do. That way next year when we get them in, we know right where they need to go as far as the perfect location to get them growing for you. The second part of the trial is when we bring them out into the landscape. So obviously once they've been in the greenhouse, they've gotten quite large. So we'll go through, we'll trim them back, and we'll trim them back pretty hard. We want to kind of just get them nice and tight and kind of small again. That way as they're growing out in the landscape, they're starting from kind of that smaller size and just expanding as the summer goes on. I don't want to put a really big, long, lanky plant out here because number one, when plants are long and lanky, they don't look good. So if I can get it trimmed back, let it kind of reflush out and plant it, that's going to give us a better trial. I know you're itching. You want to see what these plants are look like. So let's go ahead, turn the camera around, get it off of me, and show you these fantastic new proven winter annuals for 2026. So it's kind of a more of an extreme type of location, and that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're giving these plants the extremes when we're growing them to see can they handle it. So the first plant actually is a very drought tolerant plant that loves the heat, and this is a new Jamesbrittenia. This is a Jamesbrittenia Safari Lava Flow, and you can see those gorgeous red blooms. If you've grown Jamesbrittenia in the past, you know there's a lot of shades of like the pinkyish purple colors, and so this red is a great addition to the spectrum of colors, especially if you love growing these Jamesbrittenia. So how we use them is, well, you see we have them planted here in the ground, but we also planted them in some containers this year, and I was just blown away by how prolific they were. They really did a huge job of filling in my container. Now I didn't use the red one, I had a different one, but yeah, I was really impressed by that plant. This is the Lobularia White Knight. So this is an improvement of the Lobularia White Knight that's currently out there. From what I've been told, the habit is a little bit more aggressive than the original, and so we'll see how these do. We're using them here as a nice low border plant. The nice thing with Lobularia is they look like alyssum, and the flowers essentially kind of are, but these plants are sterile. So what that means is they'll continue to put flowers on all summer long, where with alyssum, once they go and put their flowers on, they stop blooming. So the Lobularia is that nice alyssum look, but with a plant that's going to give you blooms all summer long. The next on the new plant tour is, I think, going to be one of the fan favorites, and this is the Supertunia Vista Cool Jazz. So this plant was actually found in a block of jazzberry, and that's how a lot of these plants are found actually, is there's just a random plant growing in with a bunch of others, and then they're able to go ahead and take it, and as long as that plant stays true to that new color, then it becomes a new plant variety. So the Supertunia Cool Jazz are doing really nicely. These are going to have that habit of the Vista, which is going to get probably, I'm guessing, up to 2 foot tall and 2 foot wide. We'll see as summer goes along. But I think this is going to pair really nice with the jazzberry, especially if you're looking to do that two-tone color look. The nice thing with Supertunias is they are the no-pick petunias, so you do not need to pick at them to keep them blooming all summer long. They're sterile, and their job is one thing, and that is to just keep producing flowers all summer long. Here's a new begonia behind it, and this is actually a cascading begonia. This is part of the Surefire series. Beautiful, kind of coppery green foliage, with really rich red blooms. This is called the Surefire Cascade Red. I'm going to show you the tag a second here. And so this is going to have more of a cascading habit. So obviously in the ground it's going to be a little bit hard for us to tell what the true habit's going to do. These would have probably been better planted in a container so we could have got that actual cascading feel. But I think we'll get kind of a little bit of an idea of what they're going to do, even though they are planted here in the landscape. Moving along, there's a lot of perennials in here as well, so we will be seeing some other things blooming, but we'll be touching on those in a follow-up video when we do the actual garden tour here. We'll come back through and talk about the perennials and shrubs that we're seeing bloom. Here's some more of the White Knight Lobularia. We like to kind of plant them in different areas. That way if one area doesn't do great, they're at least represented in other areas throughout the garden. Here's one we're really excited about. So the Intensia Phlox series is growing, and this is a gorgeous bright pink. You're going to also find that the Intensia Phlox are going to have a name change in 2026. They're going to be called the Southern Blaze series. So this is Southern Blaze Bright Pink, and I'm loving, it's such a rich, clean, bright pink. Phlox like to be grown in, they're more of a heat tolerant, drought tolerant plant, so they do like the hot sun. In fact, they actually will bloom a little bit better the hotter it gets. So right now there's a purple, a red, and a white. So I think this bright pink is going to be a great addition to that collection. Here's a few more of the cascading begonias. Again, just to show them to you in a different area here in the garden bed. This is going to be another popular one. This is a new addition to the Supertunia Mini Vista series. And this is the Supertunia Mini Vista Pink Cloud. Look how dense the habit of this plant is. The flowers are a little bit smaller, which some of those Mini Vistas are a touch smaller, but I feel like these are even a little bit smaller yet. They've got that bubblegum pink color with a beautiful white center. So it's just kind of a very nice, soft and airy feel. So I am going to be curious to see if these will stay this dense throughout the summer, or if they're going to spread out and loosen up a little bit. But remember, 3 weeks ago, these were all trimmed back. There was not a flower on them. And look how they've rebounded and are putting on so much color. Some more of that Lobularia tucked in. And you can see that actually, that's a great pairing. If you were looking to create a combo or even do a border, that pink cloud and that Lobularia really pair very nicely together. Here's some Agastache. They're not really blooming yet, so this again was trimmed back. That's a nice yellow. So this is going to be an annual. This is not going to be a hardy Agastache, but the nice thing with Agastache, perennial or annual, is that they're long blooming. So I think we're going to see other colors in this series as well, but I'm pretty sure it's just the gold that we were given to do the trial on. There's a lot of Lobelia coming, and typically Lobelia are a plant I kind of stayed away from, especially because in the heat of the summer, they seem to kind of peter out for us here. But this new series of Lobelia is doing fantastic, not only here in the gardens, but also in my container gardens at home. And I think there's 3 new colors coming. Let's take a look here. Laguna, and then beautiful kind of a light lavender purple color. So these are kind of nice plants to kind of fill in hanging baskets or in containers, or as you can see here, we kind of put them in the ground as a border. So more than likely though, if I were going to use these, I would be planting these in a container. We really like that Lobelia. We just kind of kept sneaking it in. Here's another Agastache. This is the Agastache Mr. Coral. And this one too is just starting to put on a little bit of color. This will be something we'll have to feature later on in the summer as it shows more coloration. This is sure going to be a fun one. This is a new Calibrachoa, also known as a Superbells. Look at all that coloration you're getting on one plant. This is magic double grapefruit. Look at the colors. You're getting yellows, you're getting pinks, you're getting corals, you're getting all different kind of colors. And that's kind of what that magic series signifies, is lots of different colors on the blooms. So these are double blooms. So if you were to order these next year and you're like, oh, my plant is all yellow, give it time. Those flowers are going to change. Now, one thing I'm trying to figure out is, do the flowers change based on temperature? Do the flowers change based on where they're at in the bloom cycle. It's a little bit hard to tell, but I think they're changing based off of where they're at in the bloom cycle. Because if we look at the buds are really yellow. The fresh flowers are yellow. And I'm thinking these aged flowers are when they start to take on more of that pink coloration. So this will be a fun one to kind of watch to see what it does throughout the summer as well. Some more of that Intensia Phlox. So yeah, when we do these trials, we don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket, so to say, because like I said, if you have a wet spot or a dry spot, or just, you know how your garden acts and how there's different areas in it that behave better than others. You don't want to put everything in one spot. You want to give it a fair chance to find its time to shine in the garden, and it might not be one spot, it might be better in another. Some more of the Cool Jazz Supertunias. Some Oenothera. So this is something we're just threw in here and try. It came in our samples. This is the Oenothera Superlophus Sunglow. I've never seen that series. They might have added that series name in. I've never seen that before. But this is another heat-loving plant. Beautiful yellow blooms. Here's some more of the Jamesbrittenia. Again, you're seeing no matter where we're looking at these plants, they are really doing fantastic. Got some Bidens. And I'm going to look for the tag as we're walking, but this is a new Bidens. It's more of a reddish color. Bidens are a heat-loving plant, drought-tolerant as well. We'll see how they do in this garden bed, because this garden bed tends to be a little bit more on the wet side. So we'll see if they thrive or dive in this garden bed. Here we go. Here's the tag. Bidens Red Ember. Beautiful red blooms. So these here, they need a little bit more time to put on their really prolific show of color. This is something I'm impressed with also. It's a new sweet potato vine, and look at that. Gorgeous bicolors going on. This is Sweet Caroline. I'm trying to read from a different distance. My eyes are not what they used to be. Sweet Caroline Shadowstorm. I love the yellow and the black together, and we're seeing different kind of variations of veining and splotching from plant to plant. One thing I've noticed with these in my garden and my container gardens is they're not super aggressive, so they're not taking over. So we'll see if the summer continues to keep them that way, or if they're going to take over at some point. But they've stayed really nice and tight and compact. All right, what else? Oh, this is a new one. This is a proven accent plant. Look at this nice silver foliage. It kind of reminds me of a succulent, sort of. It's called Silver River. I think this is something you would just tuck in your annual combinations for just a little splash of silver. Although in the landscape here too, it's kind of cool how it's just kind of creating some contrast, especially up against that dark mulch. So we'll see how summer goes, what this does, how big it gets. That's the other thing that's nice with doing these trials is, you know, you can see the tag and you can see what it says on the tag, but to see what it actually does in real life, like is it going to get as big as it says, or how is it going to behave? That's one nice thing I like to look at too in these trial observations. Angelonia Angelface Blue has an improved habit. I'm noticing it's a lot more, there's a lot more branching on this plant, so a lot more flower spikes. Angelonia I like to use in containers, but this could make a very fun border as well with those beautiful spiky blue blooms. Here's some more of the Lobelia, and they're doing really quite well here. This is in a garden that's westward facing, so it does get a lot of sun, as did the parking lot bed. That one faces south, so that too is getting a lot of sun. Some more of the Cool Jazz. There's a lot of shade going on right now because the sun is behind the greenhouse. It's kind of early morning, but I wanted to get out here before it got too warm. These are sitting in kind of a wet spot, and they're not liking that so well. The Phlox INTENSIA. That is such a gorgeous color. What do you think about that? Some more of the Pink Cloud. So yeah, so for being in here for about 3 weeks, these plants are definitely settling in, starting to put on a show of color, and this will be something we'll be sure to update you on as summer goes along. But I wanted to just give you kind of a sneak peek into what the plants are looking like in the early stages of being planted, so we can compare them later on in the season to what they look like later on. Thank you for walking through the garden with me today. Hopefully there's been some things that you've seen that have added some inspiration for you and for your garden. Lots of information, lots of plants we looked at. So if you've stuck with me and have watched to the end of the video, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. And if you're new to our channel, we welcome you to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.